friends that are very risk adverse. I seem to have missed that. I'm not wired that way. I'm wired to do things differently. I want to make a real impact, and it's not going to be the traditional way. I think we're fresh. We're not like the heritage brands that we sit along the shelves of. We're basically doing the opposite of what everyone tells us to do.
You're presenting that in a real and a vulnerable way, but also playful and fun and super engaging.
If you're holding yourself back, don't. And I used to be so painfully shy. Now I'm like too outgoing, but it's okay. Love filming content. So I show my real life, and because that is so connected to Who is Elijah as well, I think that draws people in. I do enjoy sharing the lows of how we got to where we are today. I wish that people shared it with me early on. Probably would have made less fuck-ups along the way. I'm not trying to get $1 out of someone. I'm trying to make them feel part of a community. I can get there by being creative. I've got the team around me to do the strategy. I don't need to worry about that. I am the customer, so I want our ambassadors and influencers to be able to speak to me. If I love it, I know then I can storytell it. I can live it. We want them to feel empowered, confident when they wear Who is Elijah. We want it to be truthful, and I'm going to give it my absolute all to be one of the biggest and best fragrance houses of the United States. If I had to sleep on a bus bench for a week, I'd fucking do it.
You do it for a month.
I'd do it for a month. An email is not going to make anything happen. I've stolen that from you, that little saying. I'm just about to step into the greatest chapter of my life, and with that is going to come a lot of transformation.
No rules.
No rules.
No rules.
I'm actually going to cry.
That's okay.
I know I'm crying.
That's okay.
Yeah. Fuck you for making me cry. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Raquel. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you.
Raquel, I feel like you need no introduction to many in the audience, but I'm aware that some people will be meeting you for the first time today. So as the founder and creative force behind Who is Elijah, why don't we start there? Tell us a little bit about Who is Elijah.
Well, apart from smelling it delicious, I started Who is Elijah 7 years ago, pretty much for myself. I had a new love for fragrance, and especially this fragrance that I fell in love with at Coachella. But over the 7 years, I've really found my voice and my purpose. And I have many different sides of me. And that really started to come out as my confidence grew throughout this Who is Elijah journey. Just ask my husband. And when we started communicating that through our different creations, party girl, boss era, I'm at home, I'm a mum. We started communicating that within our fragrances, and our community started to share as well that they also had different sides of themselves, that some of our fragrances were giving them the confidence to step into. So that really has become who is Elijah is. It's the different versions of yourself.
Great. So it is like using scent as an opportunity to present different aspects of your own personality. Yeah, I love that. The brand's rise has been remarkable, and it's been well documented. And I want to get to your superpower within all that. And the way you think about the brand's ascent, do you feel, what do you feel has really been behind that? Is it authenticity, originality? Is it the aesthetic, timing? Is it you? Like, what do you think has propelled its rise?
I think there's many things that you've just listed. I think it started very authentic. It started with me bottling perfume bottles in my garage, and I started documenting that pretty early on. I think I'm the founder and face of the brand, so I think that brings along an authenticity. And also I love being crazy with our marketing tactics, as we all know. And I think we're fresh. We're not like the heritage brands that we sit along the shelves of. And I think there's not one answer to fit that. And I think we're basically doing the opposite of what everyone tells us to do and what everyone else is doing. And I think people really gravitate towards that. And yeah, I think we're just different.
There's some spontaneity. The authenticity and the originality is clear. It comes through so strongly. But there's some real spontaneity to your personal content creation. And I think that makes you feel aspirational, but also very accessible. I know that's a cliche, but you're someone that I think the audience and the community of followers that you have can look up to, but you also feel real and grounded, and you're sharing the highs and lows.
Yes, I'm very real. I'm sitting here barefoot right now. Yeah, and I think the sharing the highs and lows, it wasn't something that was strategic. You know, Adam and myself, we shared probably too much, but people really love that. And I almost feel like we have become somewhat successful. We still have a long way to go, but I do enjoy sharing the lows of how we got to where we are today. And, you know, it's not that I feel responsible to share that with others, but I think I wish that people shared it with me early on, probably would have made less fuck ups along the way. But I love to share it all. And I think, you know, we probably share more of the bad than we do the good, but people really resonate with it. And it's, you know, it's nice.
I think touching on fuck ups as you
I'm not sure if we're allowed to swear.
I think what's really interesting. I've spoken to a couple of founders of brands, everything from relatively early to very mature and kind of 9 and 10 figure brands who have shared with me that if they knew what they know now, if they knew too much, they might never have started. And Tom Brown, for example, shared that he didn't start with a business plan. And in many ways, that is what allowed him to persist, because he didn't kind of know how difficult it was going to be. I know you've got a perspective on this as well. How do you feel about that for founders or potential founders who are watching and worrying about all the different things that could go wrong? How do you think about, yes, you need to map it all out in granular detail versus just start and you'll figure it out? Like, where do you sit on that spectrum?
For me personally, just start. If I knew then what I know now, I still would have started. And I don't think anything could have deterred me. It's been really hard, so that might sound crazy to some people, but I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's, I don't know if it's a personality thing, but, you know, I have friends that are very risk adverse. I seem to have missed that in my body. But, you know, I have people around me that, you know, create the business plan, and I'm still not the one setting the business plan, but I have experts around me that are. So, I mean, I think there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing Who is Elijah, and there's nothing that will stop me now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also think that the transition from fragrance house to lifestyle brand, which is a journey you're progressing through now. I think about, you know, what is the definition of lifestyle brand? It's this notion that the brand has created a world that you want to be a part of. And it seems to me that is something that your community is really telling you, that there's something about Who is Elijah and you, and I can't wait to get to how those two work together in a second. There's something about Who is Elijah and you and the world that you represent to them that is really attractive, and it goes above and beyond scent. What do you think is it about the world that you've created that is proving so attractive to your community?
I mean, that it's achievable. I don't live this crazy luxurious life. I have 2 children. I was racing them out the door before you arrived today. I'm barefoot. I haven't vacuumed the floor. I show my real life, and because that is so connected to Who is Elijah as well. I think that draws people in. But then we have the people that, you know, that may not know me, but then they're just familiar with Who is Elijah. And we showed so many different personalities of Who is Elijah. So it's almost like there's a personality for almost everyone. So there's something that people are gravitating towards or, you know, attaching themselves to. So we're not just for the one person or one personality type, or however is the best way to say that. So we're creating a world for more than one person. As humans, you always say this to me really well, and I'm going to get it wrong, but we are what are we?
We're complex and complicated. We're multifaceted.
We're complex creatures. We're multifaceted. So, I mean, I'll speak for myself. Like, I am one person today and a different person tomorrow. And I think that's like most people. And it's not in a negative way. It's some days I want to be really fun and outgoing and doing crazy things. Another day I want to be chilling and with my family. So I think we're creating a world for everyone. And, you know, in the business world, you know, what's that saying? If you try to sell to everyone, you're trying to sell to no one. But when I'm talking like that, I'm not trying to get $1 out of someone. I'm trying to make them feel part of a community. And if they spend $1, great. But if they come into our community and they talk about our fragrance, and, you know, sometimes that's better than a sale.
I agree. And I think this notion that we're all complex and complicated, and you're presenting that in a really a real and a vulnerable way, but also playful and fun and super engaging, which brings me to what I want to focus on today, which is what I think is your superpower. When we first met, I walked away and spoke to a friend who is in, I guess, a similar line of work to me, so ex-CEO of fashion brands and consulting. And I said, I've just met the most amazing woman. I feel like she has cracked the code of the attention economy and figured out the interaction or the potential interaction and the potential power of that interaction between personal brand and business brand. And this is something I'd really love to focus on. At what point in the journey did you start to think about that in more strategic terms? Building your profile, you personify the promise of the brand, and yet you and the brand are separate entities. There's overlap, but you're separate entities. When did you start to think about how to optimize for that combination?
It's honest, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. I do feel like when I met you in December, that's when you really made it very clear how important it was. And I think I was just accidentally doing it. It wasn't strategic. And now, like, I hate to say it's even strategic now because I feel like I have just morphed into Who is Elijah, and Who is Elijah has morphed into me, but more the latter. And you know, when we've gone through waves, you and I, of am I too Who is Elijah? Do we need to pull me back a little bit? And we did do that for a little bit, and that proved to not be the right decision. And I said it to you the other day, and you said, finally. I said, let's use me properly now. And I think we're starting to do it properly now. And now I don't think you could get me away from Who is Elijah. I'm really excited to, and I think, you know, going back to what we've been doing this year, we finally found our brand message and our brand voice. And I think now I finally feel like, and it sounds silly, but like I feel like I've also found my own voice. And so I'm excited to, you know, for the next few years at least, build the two of us together. And I don't know if that's the right answer, but I guess you could call it a strategic thing now. But to me, it just feels like, personally, that's what I want to be doing with my life. And that makes me so happy and brings so much joy. And with that, I'm sure we'll bring amazing things to Who is Elijah.
I think so too. And I think that evolution of it started, you said accidentally, another word might be authentically. You know, you acted spontaneously based on instinct and intuition. And over time, as the brand has grown, you've had to become more strategic because you're supporting 30 mouths and paying 30 mortgages and growing a business domestically and internationally. So, but that evolution is a really interesting one. And I think for a lot of young entrepreneurs or those who are thinking of striking out on their own, so maybe it's a side hustle, maybe it's a startup, maybe they're not even at the side hustle stage. I think it's really interesting to share with them, what was it for you that started to shift your thinking around, this is a single scent. No, it's a group of scents that represent different parts of me. No, actually, this is potentially a lifestyle brand. Was there a single moment, or was it really quite iterative over time?
It's just evolved. I can't think of one moment. I mean, there's a lot of one moments that we've had together, you, Adam, and I, that has put us on this, you know, new path that we've got on. But I think it's evolution throughout the business and the journey. I'm trying to think of like one moment, but I think, you know, I get asked a lot, why do you choose to be the face of the brand? And, you know, a lot of people come to me and saying that they're quite nervous to do it, they're too nervous to film videos. And it's the most nerve-wracking thing when you get started. But then when I started doing it and getting good at it, I mean, the results spoke for itself. Like, it wasn't something I was going to turn away from. So, and now I enjoy it. It's just a part of my life.
Do you enjoy it?
Love it. Love it. Like, when you guys leave here today, I've got like 30 UGC videos to film, and I'm so excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because when you speak about people feeling nervous about it, that includes me. And I think the funny thing is, until you start to do it, you don't appreciate actually how hard it is just to stand there and talk to camera and be engaging and be inspiring and bring energy to it.
Yeah.
It's harder than it looks.
I love it. And it doesn't like need to be just the UGC. Like, we've had so many, I might be jumping ahead, but we've had so many like moments where, you know, a celebrity had bought a perfume And I jumped on a plane and hand delivered it to LA. And, you know, people call me crazy and people call me a stalker. And people say to send it in a PR box. But I'm not wired that way. I'm wired to do things differently. And ask my parents, I'm such a rebel growing up, hated me back then. But now I'm so glad I was, wired that way. I don't want to do things the way other people are doing things. And it's really helped us get to where we are. It's kind of a bit off track, but I think if you're holding yourself back, don't. And I know it's so easy to say, like, don't, but I used to be so painfully shy. And over the last sort of 3 years, I've really come out of my shell. And now I'm like too outgoing, but it's okay. It works.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Just don't hold back.
Just don't hold back.
And I think then a follow-up question to that would be, how do you know when the content is right? Like how much of that is intuitive and how much of it is based on the way content's performed in the past? So say metrics.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously metrics, I've got all my team looking at all the metrics all the time. But, it's what feels right to me. I'm not going and filming videos that I'm not lying in my videos. Some of them we're surrounded by inspiration all the time. Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, everything. I'm definitely out there looking for inspiration from other brands and trial and error. Like we try so many different versions of things. And, fortunately, unfortunately, the best piece of content for us is always me. Most of it's speaking in my car. But trial and error. And then some of the videos that do perform well are the ones that we cringe at, but they perform the most. So we just keep going with them.
I think about the authenticity around what you do and the rawness around the content that you create versus what I think many of us think is required, which is this very polished perfection. Like the kind of shoot we're doing today with lights and multiple cameras and all the rest of it, or indeed the kind of editorial and brand shoots that I did early in my career with various fashion brands, where what we were trying to present was an ideal. And what you're presenting absolutely combines elements of that aspiration, but you're doing it in a way that feels like I might be able to step into your world. And I think that bridge that you're creating between the promise of the brand and where I am today, that you can walk me across that bridge, there's a real art in that. And I just want to talk about that kind of art versus science element. So when you're thinking about the message that you're trying to convey and how you want to create a really engaging story around that, but also the structure that works best on TikTok or on Insta or whatever, how do you start from the creative and then solve for structure? Or is there an element of where, look, we just have to do a certain number of clips per week for each platform? What sort of, how do you approach your content creation and the cadence over the course of the week?
Well, I'm a crazy creative, so whenever anyone wants to give me some structure, So I love filming content. So whenever I'm in the mood and I've got an idea, I'm not one to sit and wait. I'll just go and do it. So the team don't necessarily give me, a strategy or however many pieces of content that they want. They just tell me there's no limit. So I know that there's no limit of what we need. I just need to do volume. And there's the other side of it that maybe I'm not involved in as much, that is a little bit more strategic, and our UGC briefs, and I'm trying to think what else we do. But I guess it's mostly just like the UGC briefs. But no, I mean, I like doing things on the fly and I don't like having a strategy, and that's probably the wrong answer. But that's when I perform the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that combination of moments that are spontaneous, and then the kind of storytelling that you're starting to share around the brand and what it means, I think that combination keeps it so fresh.
And we're, as you know, we're just talking about, we're working with this new creative agency now, and they've opened up my mind. And I say it all the time, I love being the dumbest person in the room. Thankfully, I probably am a lot of the time, but I love to surround myself with, people that have done it before and, that bring a new flavor to Who is Elijah, and I'm learning so much from them. And, we did a massive photo shoot last week and yesterday as well. And it's really luxifying Who is Elijah, but not in a way that is Louis Vuitton or Hermes. We're still that gritty Who is Elijah, but we're just leveling up a little bit, elevating, and I'm so excited for that, our new brand voice and brand message to get out there in a way that I honestly never thought possible. And I don't get teary about it, but if I could go back 7 years and tell that girl that was in the garage sitting on the floor and just had a baby filling bottles that, I was going to be doing a photo shoot with Porsche, I wouldn't believe you. And I just think, I look back on like the timeline of how we got to where we are today, and I don't know how we did it, but it honestly comes on from a lot of me just saying, why the fuck can't I? And I think that's my strategy in life. I do think I don't sit down and plan like these big moments. I'm like, if an opportunity arises, if I need to jump on a plane and fly halfway across the world, I'm going to jump on the plane. And I want to bring people along with that journey. And I think that's what we do really well. I think it's, when I flew over to LA for Sophia Richie, people told me that they were like watching it like a reality TV show. And it was so real. Like there was no setup about it. I was hungover when I jumped on that plane. And I just want to keep doing that. And I think that's what brings people in.
Yeah, I agree. I remember getting the text on a Sunday and I was like, what's happening? What now?
Yeah.
It was an amazing few days.
I know. I remember calling you after I left your house and jumping up and down like a bloody teenager. But that's what I just want to keep doing for the rest of my life. And, I just have the best job ever.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you're a master of the personal brand. I think you've done an incredible job. And there is so much of you in Who is Elijah. And yet there is a distinct Raquel.
Yes.
As you think about the brand today, how much of Who is Elijah is Raquel?
All of it. It's all me, but it's not, it's also not just me. You know, like I'm just like everybody else. There's, all of the characters that we're creating for our fragrances are all versions of myself, whether they're new versions or old versions. They are all me, but not selfishly. They're characters and different versions of people that I know want to step into these characters. And I know I'm speaking to a lot more people than just myself now. So selfishly it started for me, but now we're speaking to so many different people, and I love seeing people step into the characters when they're wearing our fragrances. And I love getting the DMs where, I'm going on a first date tonight and I'm wearing Rebel Rose, I'm wearing leather, I feel sexy. Like, I love that. So I think, yes, it's all me, but it's not just me.
I think that the promise of fashion and accessories has always been that you can reinvent. You can put on a new outfit, you can put on a new pair of glasses, and you feel like someone new. Scent is our most powerful sense. And so I think, I don't know of a scent brand that has really focused on that opportunity. It's not about a signature scent for you, is it?
No, never. Wearing one fragrance is boring. No, it's about...
Because then you're one person. If you've got a signature...
one person, right. And I love stepping into, going on my Instagram. Like, I look like my lucky husband. I always tell him he never has to cheat on me because there's so many different versions of me. He hates when I say that. But no, I think being one version of yourself is boring. And, I want to encourage people to explore and experiment and morph and, shapeshift. We talk about it all the time. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. And in terms of choreographing that dance between Raquel and Who is Elijah as you're creating content, are there any sort of, I'm going back to structure and rules, which I know you said you don't like. Are there any internal guardrails? Maybe not rules, but do you think about how you want to evolve the brand that is, you're the heart and soul of the brand, but there are ripples out from you that are distinct? And with your own personal brand, how you want to explore or expand what you're doing with your personal brand that might be distinct from Who is Elijah? Or at this point, is it just a beautiful dance of the two of you together and it's a spontaneous flow on the dance floor? How much of it is mapped out in your mind versus it feels right in the moment?
It's not mapped out in my mind. I think I won't speak for my team. I'm sure, they love strategy, and I should ask you, what do you all talk about when I'm not in the room? No, it's a beautiful, messy dance. And I don't mean messy in a bad way. I mean it in, it's creative and it's fluid and it's, I don't like to be tied down to a 5-year plan. And, I think when we're creating, it's just, I travel so much and I'm surrounded by inspiration all the time. If I get inspired by something next week when I'm in America or then Dubai the week later, I want to be able to make that now. I don't want to have to wait until we've ticked off a box. I don't know if that's the right answer, but it's my answer.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer. Because I think that is what, for the audience, keeps it so real. Your intuition and your spontaneity. And obviously the team is creating some structure because we need to satisfy partners who require certain assets at certain times. But the energy of the brand is so spontaneous and playful and flirty and in the moment. It would be very difficult to map all that out, I would imagine.
Yeah, like we're launching a fragrance in February and I'm still deciding on the name.
Do you know what? I was going to ask a different question, but I want to talk about the naming actually.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about the scents representing different aspects of your personality and different aspects of all of our personalities, roles or personas that we can step into, how do you name them?
Okay, this is so good that we're talking about this because we're having a little battle on text this morning. The name that I had chosen for this fragrance launching in February, to be honest, I'll just say it. I originally wanted to call it Poetic Dance, and I love it. And I've thought of it 6 to 8 months ago now. And now we're going through the new, we're not going through a rebrand. What would we call what we're doing? We're like a brand.
I think we're just better articulating the brand promise that's always been there in a way that you feel really attached to.
Yes, because I keep wanting to rebrand and maybe I'm sort of freaking myself out. But because of what we're doing, I just sort of, not flagged, but mentioned, do we think that Poetic Dance speaks to that? And it's sort of now, it's created questions, but now I wish I didn't bring it up because I just want it to be Poetic Dance. And I think that's when, bringing rules in, I crimple up. But, the names have always just come to me. Electric Soul, the purple one. I was driving in a car with Adam and we're listening to Lana Del Rey and I was singing along with my terrible voice and she said, Electric Soul. And I thought that's a really cool name for a fragrance. So then we created the fragrance based on that. So, Ocean Eyes is blue. It's got seawater in it. That just makes sense. But they've all just come to me. But now that I'm getting sort of rules circling, it's starting to dull my creativity. So.
Well, you are the boss though, so you can push back on the rules.
I don't like pulling the boss card either.
Occasionally.
Okay, yeah, I know. But yeah, no, the names sort of just come to me and it's, and I want them to make sense for the fragrance, but that doesn't always happen. And I think that's okay because I think the storytelling that we are now doing is more important than whether the name matches what's inside the bottle. Because to us, obviously the fragrances smell beautiful and they're delicious and they're long lasting and they tick all the fragrance boxes. But I think what's more important to me is the storytelling behind them.
Yes. And you touched on Electric Soul coming from the
Lana Del Rey
song. Do you start with the name or the moment or the persona and work backwards to, well, how should it smell? Or do you start
No
from...
rules.
No rules.
There's no rules.
Okay, good.
There's no rules. Wall Street, I came up with Wall Street and then we created the fragrance because, Wall Street needs to smell boss and in charge and electric and, New York. Electric Soul, we started with the name. So it's whatever comes to mind first and then we work backwards from that.
Great.
Or forwards.
No rules.
No rules.
No rules. In terms of the way you ensure that your creative cup is full, you're producing a huge amount of content, you're doing brand marketing, scent development, new market development. How do you ensure that you're energized and that you're tapping that creative well a lot? How do you ensure that it is not depleted?
I don't like to sit in an office at a desk. I don't even have a desk at the office anymore. Someone took it off me and I've never replaced it. I just need to be out and about. I'm a social butterfly. I love humans. I love meeting humans. I love talking to humans. I love learning things from humans. I love music. I'm a bit of a party girl, but I love music in a sense of just driving for 2 hours and listening to music is such a happy space for me. I'm so excited to do that this afternoon when I drive to a wedding. I am so lucky I get to travel a lot for work. Get me out of the office and I'm a creative, I don't want to say genius, but some have called me that. I need to be out and about. I need to be experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I need to be feeding my soul. And I don't usually talk like that, but I need to be feeding my soul in a sense of being out and about, meeting people, talking to people, and just being surrounded by creativeness.
Great. The inner compass that directs you in that creative process, when you're thinking about product or you're thinking about storytelling, what directs that? Are you looking for beauty? Are you looking for truth? Are you looking for a specific emotion? Like, give me a sense of, is there a mindset within which you are most creative? Or does it occur to you at all times of day and night?
Late at night, when I'm in bed, when I should be sleeping, the kids are asleep, Adam's asleep, I don't have anyone around me. I do feel like I am creative in those moments. I think because it's silence. I love getting massages because I don't have a phone, I don't have technology. An hour with my eyes closed, I'm just constantly sitting there thinking. And I feel, what was the question again? Sorry.
I think we should leave that in. That's a cracker.
Sorry.
I was interested in.
I was going to say mushroom, but I don't know if I should say that.
You could totally say that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's really like, I think what's really interesting for me, and I hope for the audience, is that when you're creating at the level that you're creating at, both the kind of the quality and the quantity that you're creating, it can be for a lot of people quite depleting.
No.
It's not for you.
No.
Well, that's interesting in itself.
Yeah.
So the question was really around what restores you, but you don't really need restoration.
I think that's why I forgot the question.
That's the honest truth. And when you were talking about things occurring to you when you're lying in bed at night or on the massage table, do you like jump out of bed and write them down, or do
I'm writing them down. Obviously not on the massage table.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't stop. You know, sometimes my brain's going too crazy, excitedly at night. You know, I might need to take something to help me sleep. I try not to do that. But no, I don't get tired from being creative or thinking about work. And I don't know if this is a bad thing to say. I'm very motivated and driven by money. I love money. I want to be a billionaire. And I want to do that by being, you know, I can get there by being creative. I've got the team around me to do the strategy. I don't need to worry about that. I just need to get there by being creative. And I mean, like, if someone told 12-year-old Josh that he could be a billionaire by being creative, like, how cool.
That's all you do.
That's all you do. So, you know, and you know, when I first started Who Was Elijah, my goal was to make $1,000 a day. And, you know, the goal in every business, the goalpost always moves. But, you know, I've said this before to other people that, you know, I'm very driven by money. And you get the like, oh, like, you know, why do you care so much, and why do you need so much? And it's not even about being materialistic. It's about living a life that is just incredible. It's about experiencing the world and, you know, giving everything to our children and, you know, having fun, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm creative, but I have big goals that I want to achieve.
Yes. I don't think there's any conflict between art and commerce.
That's a good way to say it.
Andy
You're so
Warhol,
good with your words.
well, Andy Warhol used to talk about art is commerce.
Okay.
And so I don't see any conflict there at all. And I think the art is ultimately what is most exciting to many in the audience. But if it's not commercially viable, then it's a hobby, not a business.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we're here to talk about business.
Indeed. So let's talk about that kind of art commerce crossover. When you're creating content, when you're telling stories, how do you think about success? Is it about reach? Is it about resonance? Is it about emotional impact and connection? Is it about the direct financial outcome at the bottom of the funnel? How do you think about that matrix?
I mean, it's all of it. Really. Does every video touch all of them? No. Does every piece of content achieve all of them? No. But they're all obviously very important. We know what works for, you know, the commercial side of it. We know what we need to do for storytelling. So I think it's finding a way to touch all of them, but it's not always all at once.
When you're creating spontaneously like that, it's all on you. And
Yes.
there is a risk in that, and there's also a huge reward when you get it right.
Yeah.
How do you judge when it's right to put out? And is there an example of where even you thought, look, this is a bit risky, but it really resonated?
I can't really think of anything that I've been like, oh, this is really risky. Look, one thing that just came to mind then is probably like retail partnerships. And we've had some fails there, as you know. But that, again, that wasn't really my intuition speaking to us then. That was, we needed money. And in hindsight, I wish we said no. And I know that we would have fixed it another way. But again, that's why I stay away from that part of the business, because I think the experts need to do that. And, you know, I would never make those decisions again. And this is a little while ago before we had advisors, and it was really just Adam and I and 10 employees and, you know, just trying to keep the lights on. They've been our biggest fails and a little bit brand damaging, but we were luckily able to rectify it and come out stronger.
Yeah.
As you know.
As I know. So you, as a founder-led personal brand, you have built an incredible community of your own, and now there's a bunch of UGC, which is completely unpaid. It's just a community that loves creating to share the Who is Elijah love. There's also ambassadors and influencers that we engage on a commercial basis. And it seems to me like the influencer market is shifting all the time, and it's at some kind of inflection point at the moment. And it used to be about reach, and now it seems to be more about resonance. How do you judge whether an ambassador or an influencer is right, if they really get the brand?
That's a tricky one. I think prior to our brand work that we're doing at the moment, we were giving them a brief, and it was very much product-led, and which worked, to be honest. I mean, you know, we've got great results from our UGC. Now we're sort of redoing how we communicate the UGC briefs to the ambassadors and the creators. And, you know, we haven't done it yet with the new brand messaging, but we're just about to. But when I saw the new brand messaging, I went and made 30 videos on the spot without thinking. So I think it's really going to resonate with people, and I think it's going to be really easy for people to create incredible content. So as you know, we just did our first sort of brand health audit, and the results were surprising in a good way. I thought that the other brands would have much more brand awareness than we did, but it did show a lot of growth that we are capable of doing, and it really highlighted how we were lacking in having that really strong brand message. And I'm so excited to get, you know, we need an army of Who is Elijah lovers speaking the same language. And we're about to get that started. Australia and America is a big focus on where we want to do that. So I'm very excited to see the results of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think more broadly that the influencer market is shifting? I mean, that's my sense of it. But do you think there's, you know, the macro versus micro, the authentic connection with the brand rather than the purely paid spokesperson,
Definitely.
the product placement versus the storytelling?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
We hardly ever work with influencers. We've probably only paid a handful over 7 years. We've never really had this incredible moment that came from an influencer that we've paid for. We've had some good, incredible moments from influencers that truly just loved the product and would frequently post about it. You know, we're really wanting to lean into building an incredible ambassador program where we have hundreds and hundreds of team Who is Elijah people talking about us. And we only want to work with people that truly do love the product. We don't want just $1. You know, we want someone to come back again because they love Who is Elijah. We want them to feel empowered, confident when they wear Who is Elijah. So we want it to be truthful, and we want it to be authentic and, you know, organic, but we also want to reward the people that do choose to talk about our fragrance. So yes, it is transactional, but it's not only transactional. And I think that's important. And I think you can really see, I mean, I'm on Instagram 24/7, and you can see the girls or the guys that post up the post pushing a product. I never click on their products. But when I see someone you know, talking so authentically about a product, I'm more than likely buy it. So, you know, and I am the Who is Elijah customer. So I want that, I am the customer. So I want our ambassadors and influencers to be able to speak to me, because if they can't speak to me, they probably can't speak to many other people.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that tension between authenticity and scale, and if someone's not genuinely connected to the brand, they may well offer you scale, but that's not ultimately what keeps people engaged.
No.
They might stop scrolling for a second, but are they really investing in the brand promise?
Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
They're about to.
So we've spoken about social media as an incredible engine for the growth of the brand, your personal brand, and also Who is Elijah, and this passionate community that you've built. And you're now at the point where you're doing a lot of work around articulating brand, making it super clear, particularly as you start to attack the US and other international markets. How are you thinking about brand promise for Who is Elijah now?
Gosh, it's all I think about now, which is so crazy. And it's so silly, when I first met you and you told me the importance of brand, I felt like so stupid that I hadn't been thinking of it that way. But, I think, along the way, we've accidentally built this brand. And when I was just listening to you, then I just remembered something. My first packaging that I had 7 years ago, the first tagline that we created was, "He is whoever you want her to be." And it's kind of a lot, it's the starting point of where we are today.
Totally.
And so now, we've sort of briefly spoke about it over the, since we sat down, giving people the freedom, the confidence, and however you want to say it, to step into different versions of themselves. And, now our new and improved tagline is "Find yourselves." And it's not "find yourself," it's plural. So I'm so excited to just crystallize it and make it this big movement. To me, it feels like a movement, and it's so different to, not that it's so different, but I don't know, I feel so excited. I feel like this is day one of Who is Elijah, and I'm just so excited to bring it to the world and really get people on board with it and see where we can go with it, because no one else is speaking about fragrance like this, and I'm just so excited.
I'm really excited about it too. I think it really crystallizes for me the full promise of Who is Elijah. And like any great brand promise that builds real equity around that promise, it gives you permission to play in other markets and other categories. Because I start to think then about, well, what else could Who is Elijah do? Under that promise of empowering me to represent all these different aspects of my personality, it's not just scent. No. It might be scent-led, but it's not just perfume. So how do you think about evolving the assortment and moving into new markets and really leveraging that promise?
I feel like there's so many things that we could do, but I'm really intrigued about potentially doing capsule fashion wardrobes. I think it'd be so cool. I'm such a fashion girly, and we're doing the photo shoots that we're doing around the fragrances and the characters. Why aren't we building our own wardrobes of fashion and clothing pieces that match our fragrances? Adam's spoken to you about that as well, but I think we should do also the traditional candles, home fragrance and things like that. But I think there's so many other avenues that we can go down with Who is Elijah. The world is our oyster. Just
before we leave brand, because I think there's another incredibly powerful downstream benefit of having a clearly articulated brand promise. It's not just about expansion of the offer, it's about the ability to leave your home market with the home field advantage and go with a really strong offer into very competitive international markets. So the USA. Let's talk about that.
It's been a long time coming.
Let's talk about that.
I'm so excited about the US. I'm going to the US on Monday. So as you know, I think I'll say it. Yes, I'll say it. We just got the first PO from Revolve, which is very exciting. I've been chasing them for years and they finally answered my DM. But they're very excited for us. They're very excited about the new brand direction as well. It feels like day one in the US. We already have really good organic sales in the US, which is great. But I feel like it's day one and, it's such a beast and I'm so excited. And I feel like we are meant to be there and I'm going to give it my absolute all to be one of the biggest and best fragrance houses of the United States.
Fantastic.
Hold me to it.
Fantastic. And as you know, I love it when Aussie brands have a crack at the US and do it in a really thoughtful and considered way, smart way, which let's talk about that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've spoken about at length, just for the benefit of the audience, is that it is not unusual for brands outside of the United States, not just Australian brands, to approach the market as if it is just a bigger version of the home market.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Failing to understand that the best brands all over the planet want to crack the US. So it's like the majors. Like there's all these little leagues all over the world and everyone's trying to get into the majors. I know you've thought about it a lot. We've discussed it at length. We've discussed it with Adam at length. How are you thinking about the US as an extension of what you're already doing versus a completely different market that's going to require a little bit of a different approach?
I think it's a completely different market. I think that's how we're approaching it because I think it needs to be. Yeah. But our fragrances resonate there. So it's not like we're changing our fragrances. We're not changing who we are, but we're changing how we show up there. And, you know, I'm very excited. We're doing it properly. I think we're doing it the proper way of how we probably should have done it here. But, you know, I was able to do it the scrappy way here because we're Australian and we're here in Australia. But that's not going to work there. And I don't want to fail the US. So, you know, I think going into the US, I want to network. And it's almost like I have strategy around the US, actually. I backtrack. I want to network. I want to meet everyone I need to meet. I need to make connections. And I think, you know, PR is PR. And, you know, I don't know how far an article will get you. I don't think far at all. Could be very wrong. But, you know, I want access. I want to meet people. I want to be introduced into circles that will get us to where we need to go. And you taught me that. And I think it just makes sense. And to do that, is it the slower way? Maybe. It's probably going to cost the same or less. I don't know. But I want to make a real impact. And it's not going to be the traditional way.
Yes. Yeah. I love the way you're thinking about it in terms of brand first.
Yes.
Really, like you've held back from the US.
Yeah.
You had opportunities to go sooner and you've held back to really nail down this brand piece, which I think is fantastic. I think you've had offers from really large specialty retailers, we won't name names, over there, and you've decided instead to focus on those stores that really add to discovery, the journey of discovery, and to credibility around your positioning. So you're taking a more patient approach through wholesale.
Definitely more patient, because I think like with Australia, in the beginning, I put Who is Elijah anywhere that would take it. And that made me a lot of money, but there's not really any buts. It's just not what we do now here. You know, we really pulled back from that. But that is not what I want to do in the US, because I don't want to, you know, the new brand that we're creating deserves to be at the top. And so, yes, we are taking a much more considered approach, but I'm actually so excited about it.
What is it that's most important to you at this stage?
I think it's less about the commercial side of it and more about them representing who we are and us wanting to tap into their community and, you know, their brand. And we want them to be able to communicate who we are with their engaged community. And I think we're, you know, very different to how we were when we started. It was all commercially driven. The US, like we're good here in Australia. We make good money. We can keep the lights on. We have the opportunity now to do it right. Do it slow. If it's slow, that's fine. But we really want to do it right. I want to choose the right partners, because in the past that has been such a downfall for us, which we fixed. But now it's very, very considered.
Yes.
One of my favorite things that you've taught me, I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but it's one of the ones that I love the most, is, you know, I never used to think of boutiques and independent stores, or even, I mean, any stores really, as physical billboards that the right people that you want to see are going to see it. You know, you put a billboard on Sunset Boulevard, you're getting all walks of life seeing it, and that's good too. But, you know, a beautiful store on Rodeo Drive, you know the people that are going to see it are the, you know, probably who your target market are. And what I love most about the independent boutiques is they have such an engaged and intimate community that when we're partnering with them, they are first and foremost able to tell our brand story for us. And it's very easy for us to communicate that to the independent boutique. And then also because of their intimate relationship with their customers, when we're putting our products in store, it's like us putting an amazing billboard in their store that only the right people are going to see. So it's a no-brainer.
Fantastic. I'm super pumped.
I've stolen that from you, that little saying. Now I tell other people to do it that way.
Feel free. I think the other thing that you're doing, and you just spoke to, which is a great message for Aussie brands that are looking to crack that market, is you've just got to be on the ground.
Yes,
you can't.
Going to be spending a lot of time there.
You have to just commit to time there, and that can mean last-minute flights, and it can mean inconvenient scheduling and all the rest of it. But you just have to do it. Yeah. I think there's something about that market generally, but particularly our end of the market, the premium end of the market, that really responds to, they're invested. Like they're making real effort here. You know, they care about the relationships. They're spending time building relationships. It's all a bit old school. And I think
I love it.
Yeah, it works.
I love it.
It works.
Yeah.
I mean, people love buying from people they like. And when you're building a wholesale business, it's so important. So I applaud that.
If I had to sleep on a bus bench for a week and it meant that I would crack America, I'd fucking do it.
You do it for a month.
I'd do it for a month. I know, I'm very, very invested. And I think that is so important. Like, you can't just sit. An email is not going to make anything happen. And yes, that has done some good for us. And we've gotten some good retailers just from me sending a really beautiful pitch deck. But it's not going to get me to where I want to be. And I know that. And, I'll do anything.
Good on you.
Yeah.
That's the spirit. It's the only way. I think you've also touched on one other thing that I just want to draw out for the audience, that you have to do what you have to do in your home market because you've got to earn the right from a brand perspective, brand equity perspective, but just from a financial and operational perspective, you've got to earn the right to go and attack a foreign market. So you do have to be scrappy. You know, you've got to pay the bills. You've got to establish a financial and operational foundation. But then having taken the time and invested the money and all the energy to succeed at that, why wouldn't you take a more strategic approach to a market that is hyper competitive?
Oh my goodness. I know that it's going to happen for us and I am so excited. I don't even know what that feeling's going to be like when we crack America.
So the way you're building in the United States, it's a very considered approach, the right wholesale partners first, a direct-to-consumer business behind that, and over time moving into more multi-door specialty. That all points in one direction for me, which is ultimately Who is Elijah flagship somewhere. Yes. I know that seems probably maybe a little bit crazy, but maybe it doesn't. How do you feel about having your own retail environment? When you first said this to us, probably 6 months ago, I thought you were crazy. I thought it was way too big of a goal to have. But now I want 10 of them. No, I love it. I want to create a physical form of Who is Elijah that we can invite our community into and, really put our world on show. I mean, I think it's awesome and I think it's a no-brainer. It's such an experiential product. Yeah. And so important these days, yeah. And having a four-wall environment, 3 dimensions where you can control all elements of the consumer experience. It does seem like a no-brainer because the brand is so rich in storytelling. I'd love to see that happen. I think when we do it, I think it'll be 2027. I know that when we do it, we want to do it right. And I think, we've already been building the store in AI and it looks fucking awesome. So very excited to bring it to life. And I think by then we would have had, 12 to 18 months of really telling our story. I think it's just going to be the right time. Yeah, it'll feel organic. It'll feel organic, yeah. All right, we've projected forward to what's ahead of us in terms of international expansion and maybe one day a broad assortment in your own retail environment. I want to come right back now and just ask a couple of closing questions. How do you define success now? Oh, that's a funny one. I mean, my mind straight away went to financial success because that's who I am. This year, as you already know, has been very financially stressful for us. We've just about to come out the other end of it. So, I want to be financially free and that, I don't want the late nights laying in bed wondering,
It's never been, are we going to make it through it? Because, you know, I'm delusionally optimistic and it's never been that, but, you know, I don't want that financial fear. I want financial freedom. So that is the success I want right now. Along with, you know, with that financial freedom and success comes with the very fun things along the way that are going to get us there, which is also success.
Yes. And we've spoken a lot about scent as transformation. If scent is transformation, what transformation are you still undergoing personally?
Oh, how long do we have? So much. Like, I'm still growing. I'm 31. I feel like a 21-year-old sometimes. Sometimes I feel like a 31-year-old. But, you know, I've got so much to learn, and I feel like I'm just about to step into the greatest chapter of my life. And with that is going to come a lot of transformations.
I love that.
So a lot of perfume's about to be made.
I love that. All right, in closing then, I want to take you right back. If your younger self walked into the room right now, what scent would you hand her and what would you whisper in her ear?
Oh, that honestly makes me want to cry. I'd give her Wall Street and say, it's okay. Life isn't that easy now, but it's about to get really easy. I'm actually going to cry.
That's okay.
I don't know why I'm crying.
That's okay.
Yeah. Fuck you for making me cry. I can't believe I cried.
You didn't really cry. You got a little tear.
I got a little tear. Yeah, life's a little bit hard for her right now, but it's going to get really good.
That's a wonderful message.
Go away. Get out of my house.
Well, thank you for having me, though.
I'm sorry. You made me cry.
I'm sorry we ended with
They're
you
not
in
even
tears.
face cries either. I don't know how to do that. I got too much Botox. I'm so emotional. That was good. Was that good?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Raquel. Thank you. I loved it.
Oh, dear. Don't tell Adam I cried.
I think he's going to find out.